Welcome to the County of Newell. Catherine, are we good to go? All right, thank you. Welcome to the County of Newell Municipal Planning Commission meeting for June the 6th, 2024. I'd like to call this meeting to order. And we do need to excuse some members of Municipal Planning Commission. Holly?
Could I excuse Adina, Dan, Arno, and Greg?
Thank you. I think that's everybody. All in favor of that motion? That is carried. Okay. We do have a guest in our midst this morning. And so let's begin with Lynette. Introductions, please.
Hi, I'm Lynette Kopp, Division 3, Patricia Millicent area.
Good morning, Holly Johnson, Division 4, Scandia, Rainier, and Bow City.
Welcome, Matt Fensky, Chief Administrative Officer.
Good morning, Andrew. I'm Kelly Chrisman, and I'm from the west side of the county.
Good morning, Andrew. Ellen Unruh, Rosemary area.
Good morning, Amanda Philpott, Division 8, Dutchess area.
Neil Johnson, Division 10, your area.
We'll go to Catherine.
Catherine Siakla, Communications Officer.
Susan Yokoyama, IT Administrative Assistant.
Cheryl Page, Planning and Development Administrative Assistant.
Shanna Lee and Maria are here.
Hi, I'm Jeff, Manager Planning and Development and Engineering Departments.
Morning, Andrew. Mark Harbeck, Director Municipal Services.
And Andrew Bergman is here as well, just for the online listeners. We have online listeners sometimes, so, or watchers, I guess. Welcome to the County of Newell Municipal Planning Commission. Minutes, number 3 on the agenda. How do you wish to handle them? Lynette.
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes as presented.
Any questions, comments, concerns? All in favor of Lynette's motion? That is carried then. Post-agenda items. Is there any call for post-agenda? Seeing none, we will carry on and accept the agenda. Who would like to go ahead, Amanda?
I'll make that motion to accept the agenda.
Thank you. All in favor of Amanda's motion? That is carried. Development permit report in your package. Any questions for Shanna Lee? Oh, Holly, go ahead.
Thank you. The Hutterite Brethren school they're replacing in Bow City, is the school the same size, or are they increasing it a little?
Shanna Lee, go ahead.
I actually don't have that in front of me. I'm 90% sure that it's bigger. They're going to use the existing school. They're going to kind of replace the main school, and then they're going to use this school for while they replace the kindergarten school, and then they're going to use the existing school for storage. So eventually this building is going to be used for storage.
Any other questions for Shanna Lee? Okay, we will accept that for information. 7.1, Shanna Lee.
Thank you. Development permit 2024013 is for the operation of a self-storage business that will include 30 shipping containers and 30 recreational vehicles, just for storage. The wetlands were identified in the provincial database, and it's the developer's responsibility to ensure that his development meets the applicable standards. The applicant has contacted a wetland professional. If there are wetlands, the applicant must submit an application under the Water Act. The containers will be installed on the north side of the parcel, side by side without separation. There will not be hazardous or flammable materials stored in the containers. The Alberta Building Code states that each person renting a container must sign an agreement confirming this. The applicant is requesting a variance to the north, which is the side yard, from 10 feet down to 5 feet, and a variance from the front, which is the west, variance from 30 meters, maintaining a 9-meter setback. The parcel has a fence and a locked gate. The customers will have 24-hour access to the parcel. From Circulations, Municipal Services has responded that they're satisfied with the proposed setback from the road. The fire chief responded that the 9-meter alley in front of the shipping containers is sufficient for fire truck access if necessary. There was one response submitted from an adjacent landowner from the north, and he is in favor of the proposed setback variance. There was no issues or concerns from IDP, and we are recommending approval with conditions, and Mr. Bergman is here to respond to questions.
Thank you. You, by all means, come forward. Thanks for coming in today. It's very enlightening to get a positive letter from the neighborhood. And so that points to the fact that you've maybe done your due diligence in getting this project approved by the neighborhood. So good for you. Any questions for Andrew? Holly.
So where are you at with the wetland question?
Oh, I'm sorry. That's fine. Okay, so the wetlands, yeah, we are at a stage where I got to get an aerial assessment done by the environmental guys. And if that is sufficient for them to deem it not a wetland, then good to go. If not, then it turns into a field assessment, and then I have to apply for a permit with them to develop over the wetland, if it is determined to be a wetland. That process takes 6 months to a year, and there's a lot of costs with that. So I'm kind of hoping the aerial will determine that it's not a wetland, but cross that bridge when I get to it, I guess.
And it sounds like you're in the process, so that's good news.
Yeah, what I'd like to hopefully get is an approval from you guys so I can conduct business there while I do that. If I could, so to get some return on my investment, right? Just because it's such a lengthy process would be beneficial to me anyway, so that's the idea.
Lynette.
So just so I understand, having the wetland there wouldn't affect having the shipping container part of it because it's far enough away from what they might consider wetland? Or?
No, my intention is to develop over it. And the wetland, it was not a wetland. It's a low-lying area that just remained, there was some sitting water there at some time, not anymore, but no, the intention is to develop over it.
Neil?
Yeah, I've been by there. I go by there on a regular basis. What they're calling a wetland is nothing more than a mud hole. And it's already been subdivided out as an industrial lot. So how did it get this far with him end up purchasing it without that wetland being dealt with? Because we subdivided this, I don't know, what?
74.
74, there you go.
As an industrial
40
lot.
years ago.
Yeah.
And if you went to see it, it is not a wetland.
Okay, and now we're going down a rabbit hole. Like, we're out of our realm of decision-making. It's up to Andrew to take it to the environment.
Just wanted to throw that in so you have the information.
Yeah, thank you. Lynette.
I'm ready to make the motion then to approve the permit with the conditions stated.
Okay. Any other conversation, discussion, questions? All in favor? Oh, Holly has one.
Just a really quick question.
Okay.
So people are going to rent like it's one sea can per person? It's not like smaller ones? It's just to get the whole thing? It's just curious.
Yeah, it is. They're all 8 by 20s. They're all 20-foot containers. And yeah, they'd be individually rented out, or some people rent multiples. But no, it'd be just the one self-contained unit, and then there's, a fill out a form, a sign-up sheet. They're not allowed to store anything flammable or anything like that, or obviously nothing illegal. So, and the place is under, they'll have cameras and gated and all that. So, and very rarely do they get used at night. In the evenings sometimes, but nighttime use is very limited, so it shouldn't affect any of the neighbors that way to have lots of traffic back there after hours. So, hopefully.
Okay, thank you.
And is this your first property, or do you have others,
No,
Andrew?
we do have others,
Yeah.
yes. We have,
So
we have a
this
couple
is
others.
right in line.
Yeah, you bet.
with your
And that's how
business.
this became a thing, as our other properties actually are doing pretty good, so there was no vacancy. So then I started looking around for other lots, and this one came up. My intention wasn't really to develop it this quick, but just how it worked out, I was gonna sit on it for a year, but just the fill dirt that was required is gonna come available. So I need to move forward sooner than later, so.
Thank you for that.
You bet.
We have the motion made by Lynette. Any further questions? Call the question. All in favor of the motion? That is carried.
Okay.
Looks like you can get back to work.
Awesome. Good.
Whenever you're ready. You're welcome to stay, though.
No.
And
Okay.
and
Good.
thank you so much
Thanks.
for coming in.
Appreciate it. Thank you very much.
No other business that anybody has. We had no post agenda. Is there a reason to go in camera? Seeing none, I will ask Catherine, are there any questions in the question box? None. I will adjourn this meeting then. Thank you all. Okay. Shall we reconvene for the regular council meeting? We're all present and good to go. I'd like to welcome you to the County of Newell, June the 6th, 2024, regular council meeting. I'll call this meeting to order. Excused from the meeting. Holly.
I'd like to excuse Councillor Scandrup, Short, Screever, and Dirksen. There we go.
Thank you. All in favor of Holly's motion. That is carried. Minutes, number 3. Minutes from the May 23rd council meeting. How do you wish to handle those? Ellen?
Motion to approve the minutes.
Any conversation around those minutes? All in favor of Ellen's motion. That is carried. Post-agenda items. Are there any post-agenda? I do know that there is an in-camera conversation. Any other additions to the agenda? Seeing none, a motion to approve the agenda, please. Amanda.
I'll make that motion to approve the agenda.
Thank you. All in favor of Amanda's motion? That is carried. Any questions, Catherine? No questions? And we'll watch throughout the meeting in case there is one come up. Todd, 7.1. Our Ag Service man, Todd Green. Welcome to the meeting.
Thank you for having me. I have a few things to discuss today. Just a wonderful council update. I hope everybody's excited to listen to it. The crews have been rocking it. It's such a beautiful spring. In general, the grass is green, the weeds are growing, and we are just doing our thing. We often joke that we're the Department of Killing Things because we deal with pest control and weed control, and we're definitely doing our fair share. We have been, we work with a lot of different partners, and those contracted services tend to start up in May. So we're pretty excited that even with all the wins, we were able to get most of those done. I think they're just tidying up a few extra things right now. We've been continually weed inspecting and working with a few producers on the noxious side of things. We're not always seeing the partnerships work out the same, but in general, I think we're still working. We did a fair amount of weed inspecting / soil conservation inspecting or soil erosion inspecting yesterday and the day before in the Rolling Hills area. I know the guy very well that was doing it, and he found a lot of things that he was not expecting to find. So anyways, a conversation for another time for sure. Hamlet mowing, I don't think I've ever seen the hamlets this green in my 20 years. It's absolutely unbelievable how the grass has picked up after the spring rains. So pretty exciting to see them. Made it to Bow City and Scandia on Monday, and it was just, you could see crisp lines in the mowing, and I hope that the residents of those areas enjoy that as much as I do. We are looking at starting our roadside mowing program next week. So we'll be heading south of the number 1 highway first. Going to start 2 mowers, I believe, down in the Rolling Hills area, try to get that wiped up quick. And one, I'm not sure where we'll send the other one, but Joe's a good guy and he'll have that figured out. Roadside spraying as well starts next week. We typically don't see the best weather second week of June. So we always say we start on June 10th, but we usually end up actually going out for the first time on like the 15th. So we do intend to have the trucks geared up and ready. Well, they are geared up and ready now. And then if the weather is good, we'll be out. So we're going to start spraying on the north side of the number 1 highway, and that's going to include the secondary highways as well. Where am I at? We had an absolutely great tree planting day with Brooks Fish and Game on Saturday, June the 1st. We had a few highfalutin people there on their hands and knees planting trees, and it was great. So I think I'm going to guess maybe 35, 40 people in general were there, primarily volunteers. and we planted, I think, 1,800 trees. So about 200, 250 potted trees, and then the rest in seedlings. So it was great. I brought Jackson and pawned him off on a couple other people. It was great. I think after 2 hours, they fully understood why we let him go. If you don't know my kid, he never stops talking. Okay, sorry. We did, that was last week? Yes, last week, Friday, we had a PMRA inspector come in and inspect our chem shed and our practices for distributing compound 1080 for coyote control. It went, I think, as good as an inspection can go. We were happy to meet with them and learn a few areas where we can do a bit better. And that was kind of all part of our conversation. We're an organization of constant improvement. So if he could find something that we should do better, we appreciated the notion. And he did give us a couple things. So we're happy to have that. We finished our grant reporting, not last week, the week before. So our ASB grant reporting, that's for the $180,000 we get from the province to run our legislated and environmental funding streams. We hosted the Weed School yesterday, or Donovan hosted the Weed School yesterday, did a great job out there in Castles. We had 86 people registered, fed them all a big old steak, and they all paid for it, don't worry. And yeah, so it was a great day. He had 6 or 7 presenters, and I think it went well. We even made him talk too, so it was good. And then obviously on Monday, we had a little bit of a wind event that did pick up some soil, move it around. We had some concerns raised in the Rolling Hills area, so I specifically went out there yesterday. There was certainly some fields that had some impact, but I was only able to find 2 quarters that actually deposited soil in the road allowance. So the list is low. In general, it was pretty green out there, but you could see where the wind had picked up and stripped some corn and hurt some of the cereal crops. So one of those things this time of year, it's very difficult to be 100% prepared. So, but anyways, that's kind of where we're at. It's been a great couple 3 weeks. So,
Thanks, Todd. Questions, Lynette?
With the trees that you guys planted, was that ones that needed to be replanted from last year? Or are we making it a bigger area, like putting in more trees?
Yeah, that's a really good question. They were primarily replants. Yeah. So I think they figured there was about an 80% success rate in last year's. So that we only had to plant 20%. So not bad at all. I guess I should say the potted plants were all new. So the 200 were new. Yeah.
Any other questions? Neil? No? Thought I saw a question. Holly?
Do we know about if we did the Volker-Steven mowing on the triple number highways?
Do we know?
You'd mentioned we're doing some mowing from Volker-Steven at the last meeting. You mentioned you might be doing some for them.
Nope, spraying. We do spraying for Volker. Yeah. Yeah.
So that is still in the north, or you're doing some in just the north?
Yeah, we work it into our programming. It's kind of a benefit for everybody that way because they pay for us to do it. So while we're out doing our own work, we can get their work done as well. And then the time for monkeying around with the trucks and stuff is less. So. But yeah, we've never played with the mowing. I think Volker actually owns their own mowers and tractors now. They used to contract it out.
Lynette?
I had one more question. Who all takes part in the Weed School?
So we had our environmental services supervisor, Donovan, and then our 4 weed inspectors, because that's primarily you didn't mean just from the county of Newell, you mean in general. Yeah, I got you now. It took me a bit to click. Must be a Thursday. It's primarily the idea behind the Weed School is to train the weed inspectors from around the province. So we are the South region, so we invite the South region municipalities to bring anybody that wants training. And then through that process, we apply for continuing education credits for people that have a applicator's license, a certified pesticide applicator's license. So then we invite all of the local contractors and anybody that might be interested in learning a little bit about that world. It was actually really good. The agenda was really well done. They talked about some some tree damage and what you might get called on if your sprayer goes by and the tree's already dying. We had some, I can't remember the lady constable's name, but she came in and talked about de-escalating, irritated or irate ratepayers when you're having a conversation. And I thought that was, pretty well done. I didn't stick around for the whole thing because I had to go and visit Division 1 again. But I thought it was great. And there was, a really good mix of new faces and some old faces from the South. So.
It's the question period thing over here. I'm just wondering about mowing because grass is really growing and the hamlets, there's lots of mowing to be done. Do you expect that your roadside mowing will be on time, or will people be thinking that you're late and we'll get phone calls? What's your guess?
Well, specific to your area, they're going to think we're geniuses because we'll be there pretty quick, right? So the difficult part about roadside mowing, we have to start a little bit early and finish a little bit late. What we find is if we cut the grass too soon after it's headed, it regrows too fast. So we've noticed most of our species of grass in the ditches are kind of headed out now. So then when we start next week, we're hoping that they won't regrow so fast. Because otherwise, by the time we get back in 2 or 3 months, it looks like we weren't there for 2 months. It kind of takes us about 5 weeks to get over half the county, then another 5 weeks the other half, and then back again. Yeah, so we have to wait till the grass is headed out a bit, which has its own problems and merits, but.
Thanks. Todd, I know you didn't talk about it in your report, but I want to mention it and ask a question. Gophers. Gophers are running wild. They're propagating, is that a word? They're proliferating, whatever they're busy. They're busy. So what can we offer? What are we saying these days to our ratepayers? Thanks.
Well, we say a lot of things, and words that aren't even used in this council chambers, beyond proliferating but no, gophers are a struggle and they have to be done early. But this is typically when we see them the most. The babies are out, they're bigger. You take 10 gophers and they become 100 very, very quickly, right? And those numbers are probably not accurate, but you know what I mean. So, early in the spring, people can use products like Rosol or the ZP rodent bait that is sold at the farm stores. Those are very early season control mechanisms. There's obviously shooting. There's encouraging hawks to nest. We're so kind that we'll build hawk nesting platforms for, just about anybody that wants one, because we think it's a cheap and easy way to kind of one extra thing. And then once you get into this part of the season, if a producer goes through the process of getting his farm pesticide certificate, which is a completely online learning tool, they come in, they write their exam with us. We help them understand all of the literature that they just went through, and then they can buy a product called phostoxin, which is aluminum phosphide, and they can put that down the holes, and it's very effective. But that takes a little bit of planning, right? So guys need to be aware of that. And we often talk to people this time of year and tell them you need to do this. We'll send them the link. And then sometimes we hear from them in the winter. Sometimes we don't. But it often is one of those things that just gets lost just because it's not something you think about when it's not a problem. We have heard there's lots of gophers. Obviously, there's lots of gophers. But there's some guys are telling us they've seen a decline in some of their areas. We're hoping that kind of cool-ish wet spring really helped to take care of that. I'm not sure what the disease is that gets in the adults when they emerge, but that seems to take care of a few. And then I think we're lucky this year the prairie is green. The neighboring pastures are green, so they don't have to come to everybody's wheat crop and canola crop and pea crop to try to, get some nourishment. So there's still lots, don't get me wrong, but I think we're not seeing as much damage as in a normal year, or sorry, in a dry year.
Okay, and another rodent question. This one's raccoons. My neighbor says she's trapped and disposed of 6 raccoons. 7 now. Is that known throughout the county, or is that the west side thing? Just wondering, because I have not seen a raccoon, but she lives across the canal, so.
Yeah, and not knowing your neighbors, I don't want to say anything inappropriate about, but so raccoons, 20 years ago when I first started here, they were really only on the river. That's really the only time we ever heard about them. We have raccoon traps, skunk traps are the same trap to rent out if anybody does need one. They're $1 a day. Usually you catch things in the first 3 or 4 days and you can return it. But if you do notice things like your cat food's going down a little bit faster than it should be, or if you have chickens, or if you're a chicken producer and all of a sudden you don't have as many chickens, those are typical signs that we have raccoons. They tend to live old barns. If you have an old house on the property, they get up in the attic and they love to live up there in the insulation. If you have old grain bins or sheds that are, raised up a little bit off the ground, which is a typical practice that people have, they'll be on skids or on cement blocks. They'll go and they'll live underneath there. You don't usually see them. They come out at night. But anyways, the long and short is, yeah, we've got them pretty much throughout the whole county.
Thank you. So we have traps for that. We can help. All right, call Todd Green. Any other questions? Holly has a question.
More for your info, Kelly. We didn't have much problem with raccoons in Scandia until the flood. It brought a whole crop down to Scandia, and we got a whole lesson. They really like tuna.
Good to know.
We recommend sardines. Yeah, don't open the can, punch holes in the top. If you open the can, when they're in the trap, they'll lick it clean and then they'll cut their lips, which I know they're going to get disposed of probably anyways, but you want to do it in the most humane way. So.
Thanks, Todd. We're all wise on the rodent situation. Are there any other rodents within the county?
Do you want me? I got lists.
Okay.
No. I'm full of a lot of useless information. This is a great meeting to get some useless information out if you guys would like some more.
Holly would like some more.
Coyotes, what do numbers finish out at?
Sub 1,000. It was not good. We would like to get a few more out of the way. We've seen more predation this year than we have in a few years. And I know our producers in this area are I think, above average in the number of animals that they calve out. So it might not be a perfect example, but there was one producer, I think they lost 5 in a weekend kind of thing. They were shooting coyotes and they were, they came in for some 1080, and it's tough, right? But yeah, we need to get a few more off the landscape in January, February, when the hides are worth something. And we did hear some positive news. It does sound like there's going to be some better fur prices next year.
Well, that's good for the fellows that work in that industry, because that's what I did hear from those folks, was that it just wasn't worth their gas money or their time to look after that for us. So hopefully the pelts will be worth something. Go ahead, Matt.
You're doing so well, impromptu speaking today. We were out with the provincial assessors yesterday, and they were talking about a black bear. And I know we had spotted a black bear in Bassano, and it sounds like it's made its way to Hannah. What size of traps do we have for our black bear population?
Yeah, I don't even know the rules of hunting a black bear or trapping a black. I'm going to call Francesco from Fish and Wildlife, because I hope I never cross. That's why I don't go to Bassano anymore. I don't want to go and see this bear. Yeah, that one's beyond our expertise for sure. I appreciate the comment though. Maybe it's time to make a motion that Ag Service Board pest officers can carry a firearm for pest control. You know, we have that ability in the Agricultural Pest Act.
Oh dear. That's above our pay grade today, so we'll skip over that one. Todd Green with a pistol. Oh, okay. All right, thank you, Todd. Are there any further questions? Seeing none, have a great rodeo weekend. Moving down our agenda to, let's do Mark. We're a little bit late. Sorry about that, Mark. You had to endure Todd Green this morning. Thanks for coming in.
It's all good. I love it. Love it. Black bears in the county of Newell. I know there was a story from somebody that lived, former resident of Bazzano, that used to fly an airplane that swore he spotted black bears flying his airplane on the river. They're rare, but they do migrate. That's just Todd was saying. Everything migrates, and they're all there. So it's cool. It's different. Well, thanks for entertaining me this morning anyway. May's update gave you a whole page on municipal enforcement. That's not typical of me, but with the Alberta Aquatic Invasive Species, the EID's prevention program, what the province has already found to date, what we've already found and encountered with boaters out on the reservoirs of Lake Newell and not complying with the EID's program, thought I would just throw in there that half pager of everything that's going on as information, because we do have ratepayers and others that access council agendas and minutes and stuff. So thought it's good information, good reminder for yourselves as well, that we played a role in that. We put a bylaw in place. Our officers support the EID in that, and that is ongoing. So at the end of the day, it's our ratepayers and irrigation infrastructure, water infrastructure for potable water, because there's raw water intake that comes into the city of Brooks where the treatment plant is, and you know, all of that sort of stuff would be impacted if that were to occur in our region. So all efforts to prevent that are great. Otherwise, business as usual really with that department. Reminder again, May 9th, officers changed over to their staggered shifts, working 10 hours, and getting some weekend coverage in there with camping season in place and whatnot. So Fridays and Saturdays anyway. Sundays we absolutely try to avoid working. So if there's anything there. And they participated in one day of the Ag Days, so entertaining about 450 students that day. They were out to help with that. They've been involved in bike rodeos and teaching bike skills and stuff at the elementary school in Bazzano, and there's a few other events and things planned with them. They attended the AMEA conference there, where the Brooks Safe Communities Association, Brooks and Newell Safe Communities Association got recognized for the efforts. So that was great. I was already up in Red Deer with Councillor Neil Johnson and Councillor Greg Screever for the CPAA conference. So I was there to attend the bylaw session for CAOs and stuff, where they were looking at introducing some guidelines around bylaw officers and giving employers and officers some basic standards of what officers should be considered to be trained in, and how to handle themselves due to a case about a decade ago with the Lazenby case where there was a death. So really strongly encourage that guidelines are great. Regulations and legislation make it difficult and increase costs. So please be careful navigating the bylaw officer guidelines that you're projecting, and they'll keep everybody informed on that as they proceed with it. So with moving on, fleet services, we're in summer, so it's keeping things running. Replacement trucks through the enterprise program, I understand through the update, one has landed at the dealership locally. So there's 7 out of 8 that will be coming through the doors here. Mine, I don't get enough mileage, so it's not time to replace it yet. So another 6 months to go, and I might get flagged to ship it out. Operations, rain, mud, dust, gravel roads, Can't tell you what's up or what's down. We're getting rain, so that's a great thing. I'd much rather see the rain than no rain. So operators, 2.6 rotations in their respective areas. Got a map on the wall here for today's open house that shows your greater operator areas if you're interested in looking at that. Otherwise, they are opening up dust abated roads, so anything that anybody had applied for this year is getting reopened so that we can commence the dust abatement program on the 11th next week. And with that, we're definitely up in our quantities, so it's going to take us upwards of 15 days, 16 days to get through the program this year. The best we've ever done is 12, but quantity equals time, and we've got more quantity, so we need more time. So if everybody can be patient with that program, but we are getting a lot of calls of, why are you grading up my calcium? Because we're getting ready for this year's program is the simple answer. So doing our best, and then just friendly reminder that when we do grade up calcium, it's because of road safety issues, hazards, deep potholes. We maintain roads for safety purposes, and we reserve that right. It's right on the application form, and that's what we do. So truck drivers, they've been assisting with getting gravel down on dust abated areas that need it. Lots of times after 3, 4, 5 years, get a lot of fines worked up to the surface, so you got to get some larger aggregate reworked back into that. So they've been doing some of that. And after the dust abatement program, they'll be kicking off with the regular graveling program for the year. Maintenance operators keeping busy with a variety of tasks. Summarized what we've got on the dust abatement program for you. If there's any questions from that, try to highlight some of those key things of how we compare from last year to this year and stuff to let you know. And we have one drainage project out there that the department's overseeing on Range Road 15.5 and Township Road 16.2 in Castle's area to try to get things working a little bit better out there. So what else? CNWP update you've got there for water and activations, and everybody's asking, when are you getting to me? Well, contractors are working, and when things are all pressure tested and water quality is there and letters can be released to tell you to get your flow emitters, you're just gonna have to be patient until you get that letter. It'll be advertised on social media and the website and stuff, so it'll all be there. Bridge file 76809 Fisher Bridge was expected to be repaired by the end of May. There were some delays in getting some of the structural components twisted back into shape to be put back in, but they're working on it, and hopefully by June 12th we can get that weight restriction out of there and make our residents that need access to the south with agricultural operations happy. Kinbrook connection pathway, the bridge is in, concrete work is done. We just don't have a pathway up to it. Remains under closure. We still have other work to do in and around the bridge. Again, some pictures are on the wall over there if nobody's ventured past it yet, but not really trying to publicly advertise that the bridge is there until it's all open, because we just don't need anybody in an active construction site. So Lake Newell Resort pathway, that remains in the stage of engagement with landowners. Things appear to be going fairly well, and we're just working through a few more details. Had hoped to have that project tendered out in May, but we're delayed on that, and I'm confident we're going to get the land secured, but if not, we'll do some redrawing and planning and see if we can make another route work if this one doesn't work, and we'll go from there. But I am quite confident things are going to work well for us here, and keeping busy with the other day-to-day business. Just to point out the municipal load report attached to the report. In May, I can say that we ended up with 225 loads being moved, so we're hanging on to that 3 and 5 year average of things. We're definitely not above. We're just barely hanging on there. So industry is rather slow with activity. If there's any questions, it's not about black bears, not about coyotes.
Ellen?
You mentioned that the quantity is up for the dust abatement. Have we gotten more applications this year?
Few more applications. Some of this goes hand in hand with council's previous direction of reducing what we're doing, how much county applied is being done, and whether the resident actually wants it. So some of that has been some of that shift, and some of it is new applications. So it's a mix. We do have all those statistics if you want me to bring them forward, though.
Holly?
So in your report, you talk about the Chile landfill, and you think are we actually getting close? And what could be the closest date it could be done if everything was perfect? Because it's been in the books a very long time, and you're working on it. How close are we?
Perfect. It would have been done before we inherited Tilly. It's not. Who was overseeing the whole landfill closure process with the province changed hands. We just kind of fell right in that slot with the changeover, and there's been some learning and development on both sides to get things there. I understand we're that much closer. We're like we're close. It's nothing under our control really. It's between what happened out at the landfill and environment, and once those matters get resolved, then we can proceed with getting work done.
Thanks for staying on it and getting it done. The Kinbrook connection pathway, do we have a goal, an end line date on that contract?
The goal is the end of October this year.
Thank you.
The update is that the contractor is currently working out of town due to carry over work from last year. And I've known that they typically do this. If they finish in the Brooks region at the end of the year, they generally start in the Brooks region if there's work to be done. If they don't finish work elsewhere, they go back and get it cleaned up. It's not fair to leave somebody else hanging until you've done everything locally. So they're not where they want to be right now. They'd like to be on the project very much. We just met with them earlier this week, and they will be here as timely as they can. The goal for Kinbrook connection is the end of October this year.
Thank you. Lynette?
Could you explain how they do the tie-ins, and is there actually any disruption of service, Newell Regional Water? That's
yep.
When they do the tie-ins, is there any disruption of service for, how does it work when they're tying into an active line? I guess is what I'm wondering.
Into the active line, okay, that's a good question that I'm not sure that I have the answer to, because we're using HDP pipe. I believe it's generally fused and that they can do hot taps and stuff that don't shut the line down, but you would have to go and flush out the new line installation, ensuring that you've got your pressure, ensuring you've got all your debris flushed out of the line, and that your residuals are there for human health safety before anything can be done. Always pressure tested, so all of those things need to be done, and however the contractor, engineer, and ourselves want to work through that through each of the contracts. Can they stage getting some people on before they get others? I believe there's been some things done, but it's really with Jeff and the contractor how they work. The one currently working in Bazzano area, they're busy plowing lines. New contractor for us, they're moving at a pace that is slower than what we're used to, but they're making progress, and they have their contract deadline, which is, I believe it's end of October. So we'll see where we're at, and Jeff and the MPE team continue to monitor that and work with it. It's always just try to say progress forward is progress. At least if we're stalled out on something, then something else needs to change, right? So.
Always with the customer in mind, I'm sure.
As best as we can control it.
Ollie?
Just back to your report on talking about the training recommendations for bylaw officers. How much of that training I thought the majority of training was set. So can you explain that process?
Peace officers is regulated through the peace officer program designated by the Solicitor General's office. Bylaw officers, you could appoint me a bylaw officer, and I have no formal training. Towns, villages appoint bylaw officers. There's no guideline. There's no training. It's here's what our municipal ticket looks like, and go serve it. The real challenge, I guess the point that stood out to me the most is a peace officer generally focused on traffic and weights and measures and things on the roads is dealing with somebody on public land. yes, they will get assigned other tasks, but a bylaw officer is generally dealing with people and their property. And that gets to be a very sensitive matter, because how dare you tell me how to keep my property, what I can store on my property, no matter what your land use bylaw says. And that is where the incident occurred a decade ago. And that is where some passionate people are looking to get some guidelines in place for employers and for officers, because there is no set training. They can carry dog spray, but they can't carry pepper spray. And I won't get into the difference with you. They can carry I forget what you call it. I'll call it a defensive stick or baton, but they can't carry a police officer's baton. And that would be for the purposes of, protecting themselves against a dog sort of stuff. There's a difference. There is a very big difference. And just due to that case, they believe that there is a lot that can be done from the employer's side and the officer's side of things to protect everybody in the situation.
Answer your question, Holly? Okay. Any other questions? Seeing none. Did you want to go over the NRSC report at all, or it's there for
I think if council wants to accept it as information, Cole's not here today. I can't speak to anything they really have going on. Nothing has been reported to myself other than what's in the report here. So.
Okay. So, hearing that, a motion to accept the municipal services report, please. Lynette. All in favor of Lynette's motion? That is carried. Thanks, Mark. Have a great rodeo weekend. Thank you. So the NRSC report, while we're down there on the agenda, is provided. Are there any questions that you want Matt to get to Cole? Seeing none. All right, I will skip by that then. We've accepted it for information. Let's go back to, we've got everything there. 8.1, strategic priorities. Matt.
Yeah, thank you, Deputy Reeve. So if you recall, it seems like a long time ago now, May 15th and 16th, we spent some time with our friend Dr. McIntosh. They were full days. We came up with a pretty strong list of strategic priorities to finish out this council term. We have received the final report from Dr. McIntosh. It's included in your package for your information. And this is always a live document. We've taken what was generated out of those sessions and we have updated our, we use Microsoft 365 to assign people, sometimes multiple people to these tasks. So we think we're in pretty good shape for leaning in and charging ahead for the next year and a half, more or less, and getting some good things accomplished with council. So we thought we should surface the work and get a formal adoption of the priorities that fell out of that session. So that's what we're looking for from council today.
Thank you, Matt, for that. And I do have the priorities chart up here in front of me. It looks very energetic for the next 14 months. Council, how do you wish to handle this? Do you have questions, comments, or a motion? Holly has a motion, maybe?
I will motion that we accept the strategic priorities.
All right. All in favor of Holly's motion? That is carried. That was a great day and a half with Gordon McIntosh, and it was nice to have him here. Felt really focused, I think. Thanks for that, Matt. All right, carrying on. Let's go to 8.2 and discuss topics with our MLA and Premier for our meeting in June. Ariana, you want to open us up with that topic?
Sure. So this was a follow-up from, we attempted to meet with her during the spring RMA convention. She wasn't available, so they suggested June 25th. It'll be held at the county office. I've provided the list of topics that were presented for the spring convention in the RFD, so I guess just confirm that you still want to talk about those, if there's anything new you want to talk about, and that's about it.
Thanks, Ariana. I have a question. Do you know how much time she is allotted with us? So our list looks very energetic unless we have her for 3 hours.
I think that's unlikely, but let me just double check my emails real quick.
Yeah, okay, thank you. Is there anything on our list? Let's start there. Is there anything on our list that maybe we have answers to since this list was made? Matt?
You know, the first 3 items that were circulated back during RMA conference, we did have separate meetings with other ministers where we brought those items up. And I think council's point has been made with Minister Schultz as well as Minister Sigurdsson on Water Act, water licenses, what can be done about federal initiatives. The Reeve and I are meeting with the Premier tomorrow, specifically on CDC South. So that item could possibly be a short discussion on the 25th, if there's any follow-up we need to do on that topic. And then I know, falling out of a previous committee of the whole meeting, we had identified hydrogen initiative as a priority, and Lane would like to see that, and I'd also support that being an item we discuss with the Premier as we get ready to submit an application to Alberta Innovates. And Lane could speak more about the hydrogen initiative itself if there are any questions.
Okay, thank you. Lane, do you want to add to that while we're on the hydrogen conversation?
Well, just that discussions are certainly moving along. We are preparing for the submission of a funding application. There is interest in applying for funds from a couple of different sources. Of course, it would be very helpful for support to be provided by the MLA in these funding programs. Of course, it's to move forward with the hydrogen hub concept that has been discussed with council. We anticipate coming back to council during the meeting on the 20th of June with some additional information that would be helpful for you to have going into a meeting with the Premier.
Okay, good. Well, stay tuned for that then. Thank you. One item comes to my mind. I believe we have an application out for seniors housing through Newell Housing Foundation. Is that appropriate to be on this list or not? Yeah, okay. I see the health center is on here, but we've determined that housing and hospital is a different topic now, right? So I just thought we'd put the word, it'll be a short conversation, I'm sure, but awareness for the MLA and Premier. Okay. Anything else for the Premier's list? Holly?
Well, I'm just thinking that I know she's very interested in developing the Highway 3 corridor down there, and just make her express how well we have all the things that we need to develop up here, and if she could be of assistance in dragging business north, that would be appreciated.
Short conversation there as well. Lynette?
Was Highway 873 not brought up with the other ministers at some point when somebody met with them?
Not that I'm aware of. I think it's been on our list for quite some time, but I'm not sure that we have elevated it past our borders. And I do think, you know, maybe this is where we offer to partner with the province and see what she thinks about that. We've done that in the past to elevate the process and to get it done, right? So I think in the best interests of our ratepayers, that would definitely be within the realm of conversation. Anything else, Holly?
Well, just in terms of 873, we have been turned down for meetings with Minister Dreeshen a number of times now, so that's why it hasn't come forward. He hasn't met with us. But I'd like to see the numbers of what we're proposing to work with this province on before we say we're going to partner. I'd like to have us be clear what we're open to. So maybe
Well, it's the last time we did it, it was 50-50, but that's a conversation that council can have. I mean, I don't even know the full scope of the work. I do think it needs to be widened. There needs to be shoulders and things, but I mean, I'm not the road provider. It's definitely not in the approval stage, so don't get me wrong. I just know that if you offered the province some money, it will elevate the project. So just a thought. Anything else on, all right. Ariana, you're good with the information you've received? Yep.
Yeah, I think so. And I checked back, they didn't say the end time. I booked the invitation for 2 hours. That might be optimistic. I would say 1 hour for sure.
Okay, so come in speaking fast. And what about prioritizing topics? Will we leave that up to administration? Okay, you'll pick the hot topics and we'll fade out from there. Okay?
And we could circulate that for the June 20th meeting, right? And council can confirm whether we've read it right.
All right, thanks for that, Matt. Awesome. 8.3, councillor payment sheets are there for your information. I don't see any edits. That has never happened. Oh, there are some? I didn't catch that. Okay.
It was rather minimal.
Okay. I always look for my name in the edits.
You passed.
I passed this time. Where do I look for those edits? Are they, I don't see them.
If you open the spreadsheet part,
Yeah.
So there's the top section of the spreadsheet, and then just down to the left, there will be the 3 little edits that we had for
They're all on one sheet now.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. We just want to make sure that you're doing your job, right? The committee's actually still meeting and
doing our best.
All right. So, do you want to accept that for information? Amanda moves.
I'll accept that for information.
Thank you. All in favor of that motion? That is carried. 8.4. Functions of council. Do you have anything coming up that we need to get approved ahead of time? Lynette does. Go ahead.
Well, Matt just sent out this email. June 18th, there's a business-to-business networking event by the Brooks Newell Region Economic Development. That looks like it might be I'm pretty sure Arno went to the one that they had that was a breakfast thingy, right? I think. So we have attended things like this as functions of council in the past.
Would you like to make a motion, Neil?
Yeah, I think it's a good function of council, but that's also the same evening that the skateboard park is putting on their presentation. If anybody has skateboard questions, the town has invited us to share the presentation with them from the engineers.
So maybe we need to split up a little bit.
Yeah, this is good. Like,
We have the ability to split up. We have the long bench, so.
well, I know that several of you had questions and concerns about the skateboard park. This is our chance to go see exactly what they want to lay out in front of us, because they're going to be coming to us to fund a portion of it. So we might as well know what's going on with the real information.
Okay, so I hear two motions. Lynette, would you like to start us off?
I'll make the motion for the business-to-business function.
And we'll do our best to make sure that we have a contingent. All in favor of Lynette's motion? That is carried. And now a second motion, Neil, did you want to make that?
That kind of already is a function of council, isn't it? It's county business. If we need it, yeah, I'll make the motion.
All in favor of Neil's motion for the skateboard park? That is carried. Matt.
Reeve Dirksen asked me to ask, as a function of council, the meeting he attended on Friday, May 31st at the Chinook Regional Hospital, the Cardiac Sciences Expansion Plan and Tour, looking at that as a function of council. And I believe he's circulated his report previously to council on that.
Holly.
I would like to move that be made a function of council.
Any questions, comments? All in favor of Holly's motion? That is carried. Any further functions of council? We do meet again on July 20th, so if anything pops, June 20th, thank you. Here I am rushing the month, eh? We are at 11:30 up there, and we have a group in our audience who are waiting patiently. All right. And there's 4 of you that bring 4 chairs. Please come forward, Sherry and Department of Safety Services. Thanks. And all familiar faces, so I don't think we need introductions. We have some exciting news. Sherry, would you like to lead us off and tell us all about what's going on in safety services this week?
Okay, thank you for having us here today. And we are busy celebrating a huge milestone that I quite honestly never believed possible. That is the fact that WCB has given us our rating for 2024, and the fact that we have scored a ranking of #1 out of 79 different large employers within the province of Alberta for placement. So that is based on 3 years of cost claim experience. Last year was a lag year. They're still collecting data on it. But 2020, 2021, and 2022 performances are all compiled together to determine where we sit based on injury frequency for lost time accidents and the severity of those lost time accidents. The reason we've scored #1, is because in all 3 of those measurement years, and last year too, the answer is 0. We had no lost time accidents. So there was nothing to measure. It's a 0, 0, 0, 0 across the board. So for someone working in the municipal industry, certainly we have some high hazard work. Achieving #1 and having that kind of lost time accident rate is possible in administrative functions or industries that are primarily industry, low hazard, and we're not. So just huge congratulations to the County of Newell, council, management team, staff. Yeah, a lot of commitment. It's a win-win situation, both for the employer and for all of us as employees to know that for 1,650 days today, we have had no lost time accidents in this organization. So, yeah.
That is something to celebrate. Good on you. Good on the department. Would you like to introduce your department with you today?
I would love to. To my left is Robin Nesbitt. She has been my partner in crime for just over 17 years. We started 1 week apart to the date, and yeah, she's my champ. She's kept me sane through the process. To my right is Chris Nibbs. He is the other safety officer. Chris has been with us for 2 years, effective June the 20th. And quite honestly, Chris has been a godsend to Robin and I, so yeah, it's been great. And to Chris's right, we have Ashley Ferguson, who has been the fire and safety administrative position for, I don't know, 5 years, 6 years, 7 years, something like that. So keep going more, 9. 9, okay. And Ashley has been a huge asset to our team as well. So yeah, I am very, very fortunate and blessed to have these 3 people working with me every day.
Wonderful. Thank you, Sherry. And thank you to all management teams at all levels. Matt, you've assembled a good crew. Good on you.
If I might. You know, credit really goes to the team, staff who are involved, whether you're riding mowers, you're out checking contractor work. I take the least amount of credit for what happens safety-wise. It has to happen, boots on the ground. There's nothing that terrifies me more than the risk of hurting somebody. So like, this is awesome. Knock on wood, because every day is a new day. It's a risky line of business that we're in. But I give credit to council, county, previous CAOs, creating an environment that people want to stay. Because you don't achieve this if you're turning people through the door. Safety is a language. Credit to Sherry and Robin sticking here for 17 plus years and trying to get everybody fluent with the safety language, because if you're a farm kid like I am, we naturally push back against learning the safety language and doing what you think is the minutia, the paperwork, the training, but is all part of learning the safety language and sending people home safe at the end of the day. So credit to the team. Thank you.
So what's next? Is there an award or a ribbon?
Well, there's a really nice banner, but it had to be internally created. I guess the next part is just, first and foremost, of course, everybody is safe. We haven't hurt somebody badly. The upside to that is, because of our positive performance and the fact that we're involved in the Partnerships in Injury Reduction program through the Alberta government, there's some added benefits financially to the organization, of course. I think based on our performance for this year alone, if we were performing at standard industry rate this year, we would be paying $1.65 per $100 of insurable earnings, and we're actually paying 65 cents. So that's going to be a cost savings in itself of about $80,000 to us. So yeah, right? So that's huge. And where we came from, we had done our annual staff meeting last week, so that's when I shared the news with all staff. I had a really hard time keeping the secret, and finally a week after I learned our standing, I decided to share with my team, and then we surprised everything else with that information. But we'd done a presentation on where we were and how far we've come over the last 15 years, and quite honestly, back in 2009, that our premium rates would have been based on performance in 2006, 2007, 2008. And back then, we were sitting at number 63 out of 68. So there were 91% of the municipal industry outperforming the County of Newell. We were paying by far more than industry rate as related to our premiums go. In fact, we were even in the employer rating surcharge area. Had we continued down that path, our WCB premiums would have moved up to about $240,000 per year. So safety pays in many ways, most importantly, us being safe, but boy, it can sure break the bank if we hurt somebody badly, and I'm so glad we turned that around, and I'm so glad the culture here was receptive to safety, and just very, very grateful to everyone, right from the top council. If we didn't have your support, we wouldn't be in this situation either. So just very blessed to have such a receptive council, people who believe in safety, and such an amazing team to work with. So.
That is great news. Even if you don't know anybody that works for the County of Newell, you know if you're saving money, it's a good thing. So thank you so much for all that you do, and hopefully our culture will continue. Have a great rodeo weekend. Don't go too crazy on it, but just, yeah, be safe. Thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you very much for having us.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Also have Jeff for
okay, all right. Well, I think we're at the end of our agenda. We have strategic priorities listing there for our information. I think it's time to entertain a motion to go in camera. Holly.
I move we go into camera.
Thank you. We'll just take a minute to make some shuffles here.